All right, everyone, welcome back to Rayron After Dark. I am your Ice Dragon, Rayron VR. Today is a particular topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and that is the power of choice. That we, the customers, have the strongest power that should never be underestimated when it comes to commercialism, and that is what we want to do with our hard-earned time and our hard earned dollar. And that is something that we should never take for granted. That the companies need to make sure that they're getting constant feedback, that, what makes us, the customer, willing to fork over our money and time for their particular product. So, for the sake of the argument in this video, I'm going to reference here the Merriam-Webster dictionary of what choice actually means. So, choice has three particular definitions. The first one is the act of choosing, the act of picking or deciding between two or more possibilities, the opportunity or power to choose between two or more possibilities, the opportunity or power to make a decision, and then the last one, a range of things that can be chosen. So I'm going to kind of touch on these three particular definitions, especially with the second one, because again, the power to make a decision. That is the great thing about capitalism, is that we have that power to give a company either to keep them in business or they can go out of business. Again, what we choose to buy, to purchase, since we are the customer, that gives us a lot of leverage and a lot of say into keeping a product going or keeping a movie show going or whatever. Again, it's that power that should never be taken for granted, because again, we have that power to decide, you know what, I don't feel like wanting to watch this anymore. I don't feel like spending my money can go elsewhere, because there's great competition out there. And that's the beautiful thing about capitalism, and especially when it comes to pop culture. So just recently, again, the power of the people, the power of the fandom, the power of choice. Cowboy Bebop canceled by Netflix after one season. The move comes less than 3 weeks after the show's November 19 debut on the streaming service. The space western had a rough reception. The 10-episode series garnered only a 46% critics rating on the review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, which again, if you're referencing Rotten Tomatoes, we know how scummy they can be. So, ugh. Fans seem to agree, though, giving the show a 56% positive audience score on the site, according to Netflix's top 10 site. The series has racked up almost 74 million viewing hours worldwide since its debut. So it got plenty of sampling out of the gate, but it plummeted 59% for the week of November 29th through December 5th. That is astonishing. And again, here's another thing you have to take into consideration is the power of oh man, shoot, I can't remember the power of hearsay that oh man, I can't think. I apologize. I'm drawing a little bit of a blank there. But the word of mouth, there we go. I'll get to it eventually. The power of word of mouth. So once the few people started to watch this show, it later, word of mouth got out, and then it plummeted after that. So again, it's just word of mouth, and then the power of, I don't feel like spending my time on this, because time is very precious. It's a currency that never ends. It's always ticking. Insiders point out that Netflix's renewal rate for the scripted service that have 2 or more seasons stands out at 60%. In line, sorry about that, my computer likes to do random things. The renewal rate for scripted series that have 2 or more seasons stands out at 60%, in line with the industry's average. And like all Netflix renewal verdicts, the decision was made by balancing the show's viewership and cost. The streamer also prides itself on taking big swings on projects like Cowboy Bebop and has many other genre shows on the air in the works. So again, it is the non-vocal majority that these companies have to start realizing. And especially when the actors start, degrading the fans, saying that, oh, this show is not designed the way you think it is. Well, it's like, then why do I watch it? Because I want to pay. I want to watch something that is faithful to the anime or to the manga or to the source material. We as fans are not asking it to be 100% verbatim to the source material, but we want it to be enough that the integrity of the show is still there and that we can enjoy it. And it showed. Again, word of mouth, social media, the power of information, and the power of choice led to the cancellation of Cowboy Bebop. Not a surprise. Not a surprise at all. So again, that is one big example that we, the customers, have that power, have that say in what continues to get funded. Because all of these shows need money to be produced, to have all that green screen effect, to pay the actors, to pay the support staff, and to also make money. If you're not making money, you're going to get canceled. That is the power of choice. So another thing I want to highlight that happened was, again, we talk about that power of choice. So breaking today, now as of 8 December. Anyways, Rumble decided to warn Odyssey that their latest tweet was not necessarily defamation, but they're threatening to sue because of a tweet. And to kind of highlight this, I'll read a little excerpt. The value, openness, and transparency. So we have used and will not use the statistics website as part of our community to investors for the same reason we do not use the inflate traffic on Rumble. Any claims the contrary, including your tweet, risk misleading potential investors in Rumble, as well as users, partners, and others in the marketplace. So I think what was going on here was that Odyssey was calling out Rumble, saying that they were using this site to do view bots. Again, I don't know the full story behind that, but Rumble decided to, legally give them a document saying that we're going to sue you if you don't remove your tweets. This is where we're at. So again, we go back to the meaning of choice. A range of things that can be chosen. Competition, variety. You've got these up and coming social media platforms that, they need content creators. They need people like us to go to these sites so that way, they can get more customers, more viewers, more potential revenue if you stay humble to the employees, essentially, that are promoting your product. What's interesting about this is that just recently, Rumble also went on to the stock market, meaning that they are an open public or whichever. They're open to the public, meaning they can buy shares and so forth. What's interesting about this is that, again, I may be reading too much into the weeds here, but in this statement, something kind of caught my eye. Again, I could be reading too much into it, but I want to look at this particular point. So any claims to the contrary, including your tweet, risk misleading potential investors in Rumble, as well as users, partners, and others in the marketplace. I would think if you're a company that is trying to get more content creators onto the site, to get more eyes on to Rumble, you would think they would put creators first in that listing. Instead, they put investors, which I know every company does that. They always talk about the investors, because I get it from a standpoint that investors is what's going to get you the money to support your infrastructure, to get the servers, to get the databases that you're going to need to grow and future growth your site. But at the end of the day, Rumble needs content creators, needs people promoting the site, putting stuff on there. And if you alienate and go attack against another competing company, that's going to look really negatively. And the thing is that when it comes to companies, you cannot take public opinion for granted. There's a reason why there's a public affairs for these companies. How your company is viewed should be something that you're paying attention to. And then you always got to think about, okay, if I issue this type of statement to another competing company, what are they going to do with it? And obviously they made it public. They didn't do a cease and desist or subpoena or anything like that. So in my eyes, it's fair game. But this statement alone speaks corporation. And I think it's scummy. When it comes to content creation on YouTube, I have a golden rule. Never, or at least try not to bash on other content creators. Why is that? Because we share audiences. And I've always tried, if I do disagree with a content creator, I'm going to try to attack the opinions, not the person. Because you attack the ideas, the subjects, and the objectivity of statements being made. But again, even then, I try not to. I don't like that type of content whatsoever. Because the eyes on the prize, it's about these corporations. But anyway, for Rumble to do this, so again, they're concerned that a tweet was going to negatively impact their investors and partners and so forth. Well, this statement is already doing that against them already. But let's look into the legality of this. Defamation. So, defamation is a statement that injures a third party's reputation. The tort of defamation includes both libel, written statements, and slander, spoken statements. To prove defamation, a plaintiff must show four things: a false statement purporting to be fact, publication of communication of that statement to a third person, fault amounting to at least negligence, damages or some harm caused to the person or entity that is subject of the statement. So, in theory, in legal terms, again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just interpreting what I see and just my stupid knowledge of what I know about law. But I think there is a case to be said that there could be a false statement. We don't know if the statement about bots is going to be, and I'm assuming that's the actual issue here, that Odyssey says statement about bots against Rumble. So we don't know if that's fact or not. And if they are using bots, then they're going to have to be investigated. But that's a whole nother can of worms I don't want to go into. Publication communication statement, which, yeah, it's there. It's public to a third person. So, sure. Now, the fault amounting to at least negligence. So we look at negligence here. A failure to behave with the level of care that someone of ordinary prudence would have exercised under some circumstances. The behavior usually consists of actions, but can also consist of omissions when there is some duty or act. The duty to help victims of previous content. So again, primary factors to consider: asserting whether a person's conduct lacks reasonable care or foreseeable likelihood that the person's conduct will result in harm for severity. So we're going to into this a little bit more. So 4 elements are required to establish a cause of negligence: the extent of legal duty that the defendant owed to the plaintiff, the defendant's breach of the duty, plaintiff's sufferance of an injury, proof of the defendant's breach caused the injury. So determining a breach. So again, it can go so much into the detail. And my point in this is that I'm not sure if a tweet is enough to say that there's negligence for defamation. So that's something that has to be proven in court, which, in my opinion, I don't think so. And if we set a precedence that any tweet out there can now be a defamation, slander, and so forth, that is very dangerous, to say the least. If Rumble wins that statement or wins that case, it's going to be interesting. And then last part, damage or some harm caused in the person, entity who is subject of the statement. That one's going to be probably the most hardest one to prove because they have to prove that that tweet caused damage to Rumble. And so, again, that's all subjectivity when it comes to, can words actually stop other people from buying stuff? There is an argument to be made that yes, it can, which, in accordance to the statement, Rumble, I think, definitely can potentially prove that. But it's the negligence part I'm not sure if they're going to be able to justify. But even then, you got to think of it from a reputation standpoint. Now, from a corporation, Rumble, you give this blatant statement, say, oh, you said a mean tweet, or you said a false statement on tweet to Odyssey. If Rumble wins this, you can imagine the power that they can have, even within their own content creators. Content creators can criticize Rumble, but then they can file, a cease and desist or I'm trying to figure out how to say this. They have the ability to filter and control what other content creators say on the platform. And if they're willing to do this against Odyssey, the competitor, you can only imagine what they're going to potentially do to the content creators on that site. And this is so much worse if you dig into it. That if they win over Odyssey, that means they can win over their own content creators, and they can say it for anything. They can say that, okay, this content creator is now, banned from the platform because you could potentially hurt our investors. I think that's very dangerous for a platform to do. That's just a very, very dangerous precedence in that. Again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing words and so forth. I'm not the greatest when it comes to speaker, but I'm passionate about this. And it's like, I kind of tweeted about this. That's great. It made my choice easy into a backup platform because I have been looking for a backup platform just to load all of my content, just in case something happens with YouTube. I at least have a backup. And I was actually looking between Rumble and Odyssey. And with this statement, it's like, no. Because if you're going after other corporations like this, especially when we share audiences, I don't want to deal with a company that could potentially turn on its content creators. So that made that choice, again, going back to here, a range of things that can be chosen. Great, there's competition. There's a range of corporations out there that want to help content creators. That made it very simple for me. I'm going to Odyssey. And I'll be coming soon. I think I'm going to call it the Outlands or the Icey Outlands for my channel over there. And that will be just for more of a backup to all my content that I do here on YouTube. But yeah, this is very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. And again, it just comes back to that choice. The power of choice. Companies should never, ever, ever underestimate how powerful it is for customers. And even for investors too. Because at the end of the day, if the investors are not getting their monies back, they're going to just bow out, sell their stock. And that's where a company really needs to get the message. And so something else that I want to look at, since we're talking about stocks, I want to double check on my wonderful Disney, because I like to look at their stocks. All right. So again, we talk about choice. Disney has had an interesting couple of months. So you can see just how low Disney stocks went. Let's take a look at a year. Let's take a look at 5 years. So you can see it dipped pretty significantly. And then that, again, that's just the power of choice. There's a whole range of companies that we can invest in, that we can purchase their products from, watch the shows and movies they're creating. And again, by all means, do what you want to do with your money. Do what makes you happy. But then you always got to ask yourself, if something's not giving you the entertainment, it's not giving the value you think it's worth for the hard-earned money and time that you have, then the great thing about it is that you have the choice and to stop supporting them. And that is just a beautiful thing. It should be something that's never underestimated. Because when you do underestimate the non-vocal majority, they're going to leave. They're not going to support you. They're not going to give you the money. Going back to Cowboy Bebop, 59% left. Plummeted. Got canceled. And it's like when you attack the fan base, they're going to leave. They're not going to give any feedback. They're not going to support you. Those who are vocal on social media platforms, word of mouth, it's a very powerful thing. You've got channels that have well over 1 million subscribers and share that with others. Shout out to the Critical Drinker. Awesome, they made it to 1 million subscribers, by the way. But the power of where we spend our time, how we spend our money, and how we receive our information via friends, word of mouth, social media. That's something that we control. We, the consumers, control. Again, not because I'm trying to get out of the habit of saying consumers. It's customers. As from Heel versus Babyface says it right. It's customers. We are the paying customers. So, with it, guys, again, don't forget, you guys have that choice. There's plenty of variety out there. You can spend your time wherever you like. Spend your money on whatever you want. And that's the beauty of it. It's something we should not take for granted. Something that we need to enjoy. And if you own a business or if you're a CEO, never take it for granted. Don't piss off your fan base. We give you the money to do those things. And we're seeing our favorite franchises just bite the dust. Doctor Who just recently shat itself the hardest I've ever seen. Star Trek Discovery's coming back. It's like, well, this is garbage. Star Wars. For me personally, I have chosen not to support any of these companies anymore. You know where my money is going to? 100% manga. Manga has been dominating my need for storytelling, for escapism. Manga has so much good stories that I'm just enjoying. So that's my choice. And it's like I'm choosing to go to movies that I think I'm going to enjoy, like Ghostbusters Afterlife. Great movie. A little bit long, but I enjoyed it. Because again, that's just the power of choice, the power of freedom that we have. Again, I'm talking as a citizen of the United States. So yeah, there's a little bit of bias there that, yeah, we have these freedoms and choices. Debatable. It could be debatable on where you live and who you talk to, but for all intents and purposes, again, generalizing, we have the freedom and we have the power of choice. So, with it, guys, thank you so much. Apologize if it feels like I was just ranting, but it's something that I just really wanted to talk about. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to this video. And with that, I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.